walking down on the pathway here to that hut down there. See how they harvest the pearls here at the pearl farm. So let's make our way down there. Okay, we're down by the water here. We still got to walk over to the hut here. So yeah, there's all the little gizmos out there. You can see where I guess they got the buckets or pans or cages, whatever, with all the pearls down underneath here. Okay.
Here you won't see the typical white pearls. Here we produce pearls in every single color of the rainbow in a natural way, thanks to the pearl oyster we have here in the Sea of Cortez. Basically all the animals with shell can produce a pearl, but not all the pearls have value because not all the animals produce good quality of liquid or matter of pearl. So it's considered as the best quality pearls, the pearls that come from pearl oysters. Here we have two different species, this one and this one. If you saw the black doyles in the ocean, under each one we have different design of nets. These four designs. We use them to protect the oyster. We have both species and we have around 250,000 oysters growing here, from babies to adults. We have both, but for the pearl production, we only use this one. The name of this pearl oyster is concha nácar, or in English we call it rainbow-legged pearl oyster because of the colors in the shell. This one is able to produce pearls from white to black, but mainly in blue, pink, green, purple, golden, whichever color can you imagine, and even more than one color per pearl. Depending on the features in the animal will be the features in the pearl. That's why we decide to don't use the madre perla or mother of pearl. If you see the shell, it's very pretty, it's almost white. So if we use this one, we will produce a lot of white pearl. And Japan produces thousands of tons of white pearl every year. So for us, it's not interesting to introduce more white pearls to the market. We prefer something different, something more special, something unique, and that's why we prefer to work with the concha nácar. It's more difficult, yes, but it's not impossible. The two principal reasons that it's difficult to work with this species is first, the time of life. The concha nácar, in the natural way, only lives 4 years, sometimes 4 years and a half. And the process to produce only one pearl here takes exactly 4 years. So this one needs a lot of care because we want to keep the oyster alive until the end of the process. We have a great team and they are always helping us to take care of this species, to collect all the babies or spots and give them the care they need. And the other reason is that the size in the shell. If you see again both together, they look a kind of similar, but this one is a teenager and this one is an adult. So this is the final size the concha nácar has. The body and the organs, they are small too, they are very compact. So we need to be very careful when we are doing the surgery to don't touch any other organ and don't kill the oyster in that moment. So we try to do our best. And well, we try to harvest every year, so that's why we need to have a lot of oysters. The first step is collect the babies. These are from the beginning. We know the concha nácar, in the natural way, lives in these tiny trees, the fancoros. So when the oyster finds this into the ocean, they are attached right here because they are secure, because other animals can eat the oyster, like sea stars and some fishes and also octopus. It will be very easy for us if we go and take the babies directly from the coral, but that's not the correct. We try to be friendly with nature, to don't hurt the environment, so we prefer to make they come to us. And we use this green light. This is the collector net, maybe not so fancy or sophisticated, but it really works because when the oyster finds this here in the farm, thinks this is a giant fan coral, so they are attached inside and outside to the net. Per net, in good seasons, we are able to catch over 1,000 babies. These tiny holes are perfect because first, when they born, they are invisible without a shell. They start to develop the shell producing the liquid of mother of pearl, and we are able to see the size when the oyster is 1 month old. And here you can see some examples. Here inside of this glass, you will see around 5 baby oysters of 1 month old. So you can take it, you can see the shell closer if you want. Only please help me passing around the glass so everybody can see them. Here I have another one. So look how
Little baby oysters, the teeny tiny little ones in there.
headless. The shell is basically new, so it's soft. It's not so strong. And they need to be very careful when they are collecting the babies because they use their hands. So by hands, they start to remove one by one. And they need to count how many babies they are collecting every day to have a control. And once they finish, they are able to put the babies here in this net. The activity of the day today is basically collect the babies. We only do this activity in winter, so we put these nets in December, a lot of them, near to the adults, and also in specific places trying to catch wild babies from the ocean. After 1 month or 2 months, better, they are able to take the net out of the water. They use the light of the sun so they can see better, and by hand they just start to remove it. So now here, to see the difference, look at these ones. These ones are alive. And they are around 2 months old. So the growing is quick. They are taking the food and vitamins directly from the ocean. And when it's easier for them to take the babies when it looks like that one. But it's hard because here the net looks perfectly clean, but after 2 months it's very dirty with algae and
These are live babies in there. They're live, they're tiny. So tiny in there. I don't know if you can see them or not in there, but
they need to
they're small.
keep in protecting the oyster, but now in this net. This is the pearl net. The baby is going to live here by 6 months. When 6 months spent, we don't have more babies. We have teenagers like this one. So look the size in the shell. There's a lot of difference between this one and the baby goat.
How old is that one?
Well, after 6 months and to around 7 or 8 months old, this is the size. And as well as humans, they have different sizes, even with the same age. But this is more or less the size they have. When the oyster looks like this one, they are able to do another activity that is very important here in the farm. The cleaning. They need to clean individually all
some more
the
babies in there.
oysters we have here in the farm because we try to keep the oyster clean,
More babies
healthy,
here for you.
and comfortable. They need to remove all the algae and sponge, tiny crabs or shrimps or worms, and mainly the barnacles. Let me see if I have a shell. No, doesn't look. This is a really big barnacle. These animals are enemies of the oysters for 3 principal reasons. First, barnacles and oysters eat exactly the same, but eat phytoplankton. The oyster only needs to open the shell to feed through the water to obtain the plankton. So we are no water to feed them, no breakfast, no lunch, no dinner. But when the barnacles are on the shell, they start to steal the food. If the oyster cannot eat well, they can get sick and then die with the time. Sometimes the barnacles block the shell. When the oyster is in the ocean, it's open most of the time because in that way they are able to breathe and also eat. They only close the shell when they are afraid to protect themselves. So if the barnacles don't allow to open, they are going to die because they cannot eat or breathe. Or if they cannot close, that's a sign of healthy and also beauty. That's important when we are doing the surgery. And also we can see the shell, if the oyster was attacked or not. This one looks really good. Let me see the other ones to compare. But look at this one. This one here, you will see tiny holes on the surface. Look. Can you see this? That means the oyster was attacked for parasites or worms.
Oh yeah, that one's
These
attacked there.
animals,
That's a good one here.
are trying to stay inside. And we only do that activity in winter. We already finished last month. So we only have 3 months to work. December, January, and February to finish with all the surgeries. Sometimes we have between 10,000 oysters and 20,000 oysters to work. And the team is only 4 people, so every person is doing between 40 and 200 surgeries a day to finish on time. So it's in less than a minute, but very carefully at the same time. A grand movement and we can kill the oyster. But we only make or do this surgery when the oyster is an adult. The oyster lives here by 6 months. 6 months spent, it's time to put the teenagers here inside. The oyster is going to live here by 18 months or a year and a half, and that's when we have our adults, and it looks like this one. Oysters of 2 years old. We need to wait until this point to make the surgery. So first 2 years, only care. Once the oyster is like this one, healthy, with a good size, we need to put the oysters not inside of the net, in boxes with salt water to put the bag inside of the lab. It's the white room there. So there we are doing the surgeries in winter because we have better weather conditions, like bacteria around. And once we finish with that activity, we need to return the oysters here because they need to live in the ocean again. This is the last net the oyster has to live. This is the pocket net, or we also call it condominium. The oyster is living there is because it's working in the pearl production, and we wait another 2 years to see if the oyster produces the pearl or not. The surgery is not a warranty at the end to obtain a pearl, but we try to do our best to have good results. Yes?
Question, when you do the surgery, you said naturally it's like a parasite that goes in there.
Yes.
So when you do the surgery, do you insert a parasite or a piece of plastic or something?
We use something nicer. We use shell, pieces of shell, shell beads, nucleus. Here we try to produce round pearls because the standard set round is just perfection. It's better, and also it's easier to work with that shape because a perfectly round pearl will be perfect to produce stuffed earrings, hanging earrings, a ring, a pendant, a bracelet. That's the best shape because it's easier to work. Here we use this nucleus to produce our perfectly round pearls. But here we don't have obedient oysters. They are more like an artist, and they are doing different shapes always, even with a round nucleus in the middle. But we try. At the end, we respect all the oyster decides to do. So here you will never see two pearls alike. We don't need to do any chemical or physical treatment. Here the beauty is completely natural. That's something special to here in this farm because everybody wants to have something that nobody else can have exactly the same. That's something cool, but then people want to buy a pair of earrings or a whole set, and it's really hard to make the perfect match. But well, we try to do our best too. To produce the pearl, as I told you, we use this. The material of this nucleus is shell. The shell is nacre as well as the pearl, so it's a good material to put inside. This will be forever in the middle of the pearl. We need to buy this nucleus to the USA because in Mississippi River grows this mussel, this kind of mussel. We cut the shell so you can see how thick is the shell. This is perfect because they can cut the slices and make the shape and size people need. Here we need to use nucleus smaller than these ones because our pearl oyster is small, so we don't want to cut it. That's why we use a smaller than this one. But this is the principal ingredient, a shell bit. So guys, here we produce Mexican pearls with an American heart in the middle.
All right, all right.
So to continue with explain, I'm gonna show you this. This represents the body of the organ the oyster has inside. This is more or less what we see. When we are doing the surgeries, we need to wait the oyster to stay relaxed. If the oyster is relaxed, it's open, and we can work easier with that tool. Because if we force the oyster to open it, we can crush it and kill it. So patience is very important. If the oyster is open, we take that oyster, we use one of these to put it on a side. So in case the oyster tries to close the shell, we have at least this space to work. We have a metal structure to put the oyster to have our hands free. We use the lamp to see better the inside, and we need to be careful to don't touch this. For us, the most important organ is this one, the mantle tissue. This is a kind of a skin that is together to the shell. It's very thin as this species, but this is the only organ that produces the liquid of mother of pearl to produce the pearls. Then the oyster has the gills. The yellow circle represents the abductor muscle that allows the oyster can open and close the shell, and this is the organ we can eat. It's very delicious. It's known as callo de árbol. You can find it in restaurants, maybe in San Carlos or in Palme. So this is the part we can eat. Then we have intestines right here, stomach. Next to is the mouth. The green circle is the kidney. On the other side is the heart. And more or less in this point is the gonada, the reproductor organ. So we need to be careful to don't touch this, to don't kill the oyster. Here we produce two different kinds or type of pearls, maves and loose pearls. The maves, M-A-V-E, the mave pearl, grows attached to the shell, like this one. And well, the classic one, the complete one, the other one. So the easiest is produce the maves. This surgery is very easy because we work directly with the shell and with the mantle. The only thing we need to do is take the oyster, put the mantle back, dry the shell, take the nucleus, we use a special glue, and we stick the nucleus to the shell, and that's it. When the oyster is relaxed again, put the mantle in the same place, detects the nucleus, thinks it's a parasite, so to protect yourself, reduce liquid of mother of pearl to put layers and layers around. Here we have an 80% of success. It's a really good number, almost 100. And we are able to put maximum 3 nucleus per oyster. This could have more probabilities to obtain at least 1 good pearl, but that decision is taken once we see the oyster, once we see the size, and how healthy it is. Once we finish, we put the oyster in the condominium, then into the water, and after 2 years, we can see the result. But the cleaning is always happening every
Yeah, here's the pearl. It's right in here is where it's going to be in the shell, and we're showing it to us here. So you can see in there.
The
When we get too close
to
out of
we are
focus,
able to
but
sell the
you can
loose mother
see.
pearl or in jewelry. Maybe a ring, maybe a pendant, maybe earring. Some
Here's
people
another
prefer
one
that
here.
kind of
You
pearl
see
because
this
it looks
one
like that. Maybe more exotic, but it's very unique. Then we also produce
Here's another
more
one.
classic designs, the classic pearl, the complete one. But that surgery is really difficult because we cannot stick the nucleus because we want the oyster to cover this completely. We cannot leave the nucleus right here in the mantle because it's very thin. And it will be very easy for the oyster to pull the nucleus out. So here we need to make a different surgery. We need to leave the nucleus inside of the meat. But we need to be careful to don't touch the organs, to don't kill it. So first, we need to make an incision, a tiny hole. Then we need to create a tunnel through the organs, but without touching it. So it's a movement more or less like this. Not to up, to don't break the tunnel, not to down, to don't kill the oyster. So once we think we have the perfect place to leave the nucleus, we can take it, we can pass it, and leave it inside. That's not the end, because when the nucleus is inside of the meat, it's not touching the mantle, and we want the oyster that takes the nucleus quick to start with the nacre production. So for this surgery, we need an extra ingredient. If we are not able to put the nucleus together with the mantle, well, we need to put the mantle together with the nucleus. For that activity, we need to pick the best oyster available in the group. We pick the donor, the most colorful oyster, the healthiest. Let's see these two shells. Look, both are very pretty, with beautiful and iridescent overtones. But if you see this one, the colors are more intense or more vibrant. So this would be the perfect donor, the best option for us. We pick the donor, we take a scissors, and we cut a piece of manto. We need to be careful to don't cut the gills because we are going to do the surgery with the donor too. So we cut the manto, we create tiny pieces, and from one donor we are able to do between 8 or 10 surgeries more or less. So once we have the manto tissue ready, we can finish with the surgery. We take the tissue, we pass the manto through the tunnel, and it's very important both ingredients stay together because if we have the manto and also the nucleo inside of the meat, but they are not together, the manto will not detect the nucleo, so will not produce the matter. We are going to obtain just the nucleo with no covering in the harvest. That's not a problem. But when they are together, the manto detects the nucleo, thinks again is a parasite, so start to produce liquid of mother of pearl around. Even if we cut a piece of manto, the manto has a live cell that can work individually in another body. But here is only one nucleo per oyster, it's only one opportunity to do it well. And we only have between 20 and 30% of success with this surgery. Try to use them too.
These are
Sometimes we are able
natural
to make
pearls
a mess. We can create
that
earrings
the
for
oyster
girls,
produces
for
by
babies,
itself
for
without
people that prefer
anything
something simple.
man-made
And
being
now we have
inserted in there.
constellation
So
necklaces.
they're all
And
different
we
shapes and
represent the main
sizes. It's a little
star
hard
with the
to
Keshi pearl.
see
It's
in
very
there, but
original
okay.
and pretty. And well, we need to check the rest of the pearls to determine if we are going to sell it or not. The first step is see the size. Less than 8 millimeters in diameter, we cannot sell it, even if the pearl looks pretty. The idea is to sell something that can last forever. So if the covering is thick with good care, well, the pearl will keep the same beauty even if 50, 100 or more years spent. So that's why we prefer to produce quality instead of quantity. We are producing only 4 kilos every year. That's around 4,000 pearls, more or less. If we compare this production with the tons in another farms around the world, that's a really tiny production. But we want to sell only the best over the rest around the world. And it's really cool because in the harvest, we see beautiful colors and very interesting shapes and also sizes. We have a bell and we sound it. And when we hear that sound, we know someone finds something very unique and special. And we try to keep aside the best top 10 pearls in the harvest. Once we go to the store, I'm going to show you some examples. And also we are going to finish explain there because it's easier to understand prices once we see the pearl and once we can explain what we consider to determine the quality and price.
That's the hut we were at, but you can see all the oyster tethers. He said they could be down 40 feet or something there. All depends on temperature and a whole bunch of other things there, but you can see them all out there. Yeah, we're climbing up the hill up to the museum now. Oh, here's a little plaque on the wall. Talk about the spat and juveniles and the young adult, cultured pearls, and the harvest size. Pretty good size oyster there, so it does grow quite large. That one's a little hard to see because it's kind of blurry there, but anyhow, there it is. Okay.